Good morning, everybody. Thanks to the Fit&Well team for allowing me to take over your channel for the next half hour. I'm Gray Cause. I am a ChiRunning coach and an Oxygen Advantage instructor, and my passion is helping people run more efficiently, enjoy their running, reduce the risk of you getting injured, and also breathe easy. Breathing is one of the things that I believe is often missed when we're looking at exercise, and it's essential that we get breathing efficient in our movement, because if we're not breathing efficiently, then we're not going to move as efficiently and as optimally as we can do. So today we're going to do a very, very simple workout. You're not going to get hot and sweaty, or hopefully you're not going to get hot and sweaty. Anyone can do it. We're going to look at 6 exercises or 6 practices, 3 balance and 3 breathing practices. So we're going to start off with balance, but obviously we'll incorporate breathing into the balance too. I would like you to start off just standing. So if you've got space around you, take your time to find some space where you can just stand comfortably. You're not going to get disturbed. And just take a moment, tune in. We're also looking at body sensing as well. So 3 Bs, breathing, balancing and body sensing, because it's all about tuning in with where your body is at this moment in time, where your body is in the space around you. So connect through your feet to the ground and just take a moment to just come into a standing posture. Move around a little bit if you need to move around. Don't want you to get rigid or tight or anything. And when we're looking at balance, the first thing we have to focus on when we're looking at balancing efficiently is actually where is our body's centre of gravity. And this centre of gravity will change depending on the body position you're in. But from a standing position, I want you to focus on a point which is about 3 fingers down from the belly button and in between the front and the back of the body. So just take your about a couple of inches in towards the spine. So as a bipedal animal in this standing position, this point here is our body's centre of gravity. So take your mind out of your brain and stick your mental focus down to this point below the belly button. And what I'd like you to do is start moving, just move that point gently forwards and backwards. So it's just a really subtle movement. But your movement is starting from this centre point, this centre of gravity. So if you watch me from the side, I'm just shifting it slightly forwards and then bringing it back. So I'm not going to the point where I'm gripping or holding on. So I'm moving it slightly forwards and slightly back. And how this relates, you're going to say to me, how does this relate to running? Well, how it relates to running is, I get a lot of people who come to the workshops and they'll say to me, oh, what do I do with my arms, or where do I land my foot? But actually, what actually happens with your arms and your legs is dependent on where your centre of gravity is. So if your centre of gravity is too far back when you're running and you're thinking, right, I'm going to stride forwards, then your centre of gravity is way back here. You're leaning backwards and really overstriding. So what you want to be thinking about is, rather than what do I do with my arms and my legs, is where's my centre of gravity, and let your arms and legs follow. So on your next run, when you're out there, just focus on where's my centre of gravity. Just let that centre of gravity lead you forwards. It's a bit difficult to demonstrate here because I've got a very small camera, so I don't want to go running off in that direction. But just focus on that centre of gravity. And you can move it forwards and backwards. So this is easy. Easy balancing. What you want to also make sure that you're doing is that you're balancing your rib cage as well. So your rib cage is balanced over your pelvis and your head is balanced on top of the spine. Because it's no good having a really strong core, but your head and your rib cage down here when you're running because everything comes crashing down. So another nice little focus, a little visualization that you can take out on your run with you too, is that you are grounded, connected to the ground from the center of gravity down, but also you're lengthened upwards through the spine as well. So you're connected to the earth and you're connected to the sky. So not everything is going down, so you're not pounding the pavement. Actually, when you're running, you're just being lifted and lengthened and moving from this centre of gravity. So there's a really simple practice, moving your centre of gravity. Now we can try and shift it side to side. So again, you're just moving your centre of gravity side, side, and move it around a little bit. What happens if you circle it? Feel what's going on in the feet. Feel the ankles. Are you holding any tightness or tension in the ankles, or can you just keep the ankles soft? Can you keep the lower legs soft? And then bringing your centre of gravity to a point. It's almost like finding that sweet spot where your centre of gravity is balanced over the contact with the ground. And then just give your legs a little bit of a shake, give your ankles a little bit of a shake, and give your hands a little bit of a shake. As I say, I teach a technique called ChiRunning. ChiRunning is based on the principles of Tai Chi, so that's where the word Chi comes from. In Tai Chi, in Qigong, this point is called your lower dantian. And this point in Qigong, Tai Chi, is considered your energy center. So this is your physical energy center. And if you're throwing a punch, it's not just coming from the arm, it's coming from that center. If you're kicking, it's not coming from the leg, it's coming from that center. So any movement that we create in the body, even if I'm reaching to the side or reaching down, any movement starts from that energy center. And again, quite logically, that point is your body's center of gravity in a standing posture. You may have considered the idea of, oh, that's where my core muscles are, so that's where that sort of like abdominal muscles are. So when I start to move, I start to intuitively engage the core rather than just clamping everything down and hoping for the best. So that's really, really simple practice. Now what we're going to do is another balance exercise. So bring your feet a little bit closer together. And what I would like you to do is literally just lift your left leg off the ground. So you're just balancing on your right side of the body. And just notice what's going on. Are you having to use your arms to balance? Or can you keep your arms nice and relaxed? Are you having to hang on to something to balance? Or can you keep your arms nice and strong and relaxed and soft and relaxed and nice and strong around the hips? And then back to center. Take a minute just to feel the weight equal or evenly distributed from both sides of the body. Now we're going to do the same on the other side of the body. So left leg, balance on your left leg, just lift your right leg. And again, think logically, all running is landing and balancing on one leg. And when you actually land and balance on that one leg for that split second, you've got about twice, 2.5 times your body weight going through that leg. So you've got to absorb that force and you've got to allow that force to help you move forwards. Now, if you're doing this, then that force is not going to be as efficiently distributed forwards. You're going to be trying to do so much work balancing on that one leg. So it's key as runners that we can balance on one leg. You'd be surprised how many runners have come along to workshops. They go, oh, I can't balance. It's like, that's all you're doing. You are literally landing and balancing on one leg. So this is a nice little practice that I use to help you stabilize and balance on that one leg. And again, it's taken from a Qigong style exercise or a Qigong style practice. So I'll talk you through it and you can follow the practice as we go along. So I'd like you to first of all feel nice and contacted with the ground through the feet. Before you do anything, just stabilize down the right side of this body. So your right leg is that's going to take the load. And we're going to coordinate some arm movements with this. So it's a nice coordination exercise. So as you balance on your right leg, you lift your left knee and your arms just float upwards. And then your arms just float downwards and you bring that left leg back to the ground. Feel that softness of the foot as it just places back on the ground. You shift your weight to the left side, stabilize, float. Got a little crack in my shoulder then. Balance. So let's do another 4 of these. Stabilize. It's like a big stalk. Balance. Slow, slow, slow. Don't want any crashing down onto the ground. I can guarantee a few of you are crashing and wobbling then. Stabilize. And what I really want you to focus on in this practice is a flowing, smooth movement. Because again, as you are running, you watch any strong, powerful runner, they don't look as if they're forcing themselves. They're gliding, there's smoothness, there's fluidity, there's softness, there's strength. So all the movement is smooth. I think we've done more than 4 there, haven't we? And then just let the arms just rest by the side. Again, give your legs a little bit of a shake out if you need to, ankles a little bit of a shake out, and wrists a little bit of a shake out. The next balance exercise, we're just going to take our feet a little bit wider apart. And I want you to visualize from the crown of the head through the spine a really strong central rotational axis. Now, when we're walking or running, we're not moving like kangaroos. So we're not moving and flexing forwards and backwards. We're actually rotating very subtly around this axis. If we don't have rotation, then that's often where things jar in the hips or in the knees or in the ankle. So this is a really good balance exercise to practice this rotation. So we start off with our feet about shoulder width apart. We bring our arms up into, so it's almost like an I surrender position. So watch on this as well. If I show you from the side, watch that we don't start thrusting this rib cage forward. So keep the rib cage in the body. So keep these lower ribs in the body. So you've got your arms in this I surrender position. We're going to transfer the weight over to the right side of the body. As we do that, we're going to raise our left knee and we're going to rotate around that axis. So you're almost connecting your right elbow, left knee. And then we're going to come back down. No crashing down. So all, as he nearly fell over, no crashing down. Slow, 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 slow. Transfer the weight, balance. You can keep your focus forwards, rotate. Slow, 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 slow. Coordinating the movement. There are 2 ways to intensify an exercise. One is to speed it up. And guess what? The other one is to slow it down. So you've really got time. You should feel your legs working. You should feel your hips working. Balance. Stabilize. Keep tall. And keep going. Just watch me from the side. So make sure you're not doing a crunch here. So as you rotate, visualize being lifted from the crown, so you're extending as well. Extend the spine. This is the challenging bit, as you slowly place, transfer, creating a sequence, creating a smooth, fluid, rhythmical movement. Looks easy, but it's not necessarily easy. Give your hands a little bit of a shake, give your legs a little bit of a shake. So again, as I say, there's two ways of intensifying an exercise. One is to speed it up, one is to slow it down. We're deliberately keeping these movements slow and controlled because it gives your mind-body that connection. It gets all of those neurological connections going through the body. When we're running, it's easy to use momentum to keep us going, but we need our body to be moving efficiently and moving in biomechanically in a good way, because otherwise if you've just got momentum going, it can overstress a part of the body that it maybe isn't moving as efficiently. Okay, so one more balance exercise. I'm going to show you this one from the side. So we're going to start off feet hip width apart. Now hopefully you can see this because I know the camera doesn't go wide here. So what I'd like you to do is balance on this right side of the body, and as we balance on that right side of the body, I'm just sliding that left leg back. So I'm keeping the ball of the foot on the ground, and I'm going to reach as if I'm reaching down with my left hand. So I'm actually really loading that right hip. I'm keeping my spine here neutral, so I'll feel this right hip working, and then I'm going to use this right hip to bring me back up. So it's a bit like a nodding dog in a car. So again, reach down, rotate, really load this right hip, and then come back up. Slow, 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 slow. And again, slide. Keeping that spine neutral, come back up. Let's do two more on this leg. You most probably will really feel this hip working. Use the foot is really strong into the ground. Again, slow. Time under tension is all good for the body, the muscles, the bones, the ligaments, the fascia, the tendons. And then come back up. That right hip, or whichever hip you started on, should be burning by now. Let's go on to the other side. So stabilize first, left side. Nice and strong and stable through the left side. Keep the spine neutral, so that little bit of curve in the back of the body. Just gliding this back foot back, letting that hip fold. Really load that left hip. And then push back up, push the heel into the ground to come back up to standing. Slide, bend the knee heading forwards, lower the body, lower your centre of gravity, push back up. Most of the weight, 99%, 98% of the load on this left leg. This right leg is just gliding back. You can use that rotation. Do a couple more like this. Reach down, load that left hip, and then come back up. And again, this left hip should really feel as if it's done some work. Give the legs a bit of a shake out. Give the hands a bit of a shake out. Quite often, again, as I say, runners will come to workshops and they'll say, oh, my physios told me I've got really weak glutes. So the glutes are these muscles on the side of the hips as well as the big butt muscles. So you're really activating those hip muscles and the glute muscles there and working those muscles. And you're working those muscles in a way that is relevant to running, to stepping over that leg. So it's great. There's nothing wrong in doing all of your clam exercises and all of the crawling exercises and stuff like this to strengthen the glutes, but actually where you need that strength in the glutes is as you land and balance on one leg, and step over and move your centre of gravity forwards. Excellent. So just to recap those, well, I suppose there's 4 balance exercises there. The first one is to find your centre of gravity. So tune in with where your centre of gravity is. The next one is, think of it as a stalk. So you stabilise, slowly float the arms up, slowly bring the arms back down. Stabilise, slowly float the arms up, float, if I can say it, float the arms up, bring them back down. And then we've got the I surrender, where you take your feet a little bit wider apart. You bring your arms to that, I surrender position. Watch that you're not thrusting the ribs forwards. That's quite a common error, to really thrust the ribs forwards and pull the shoulders back. Keep these ribs in the body. This is where we're focusing on lengthening and rotating around the spine. So you're lengthening and rotating and balancing. So we're going up towards the sky. We're connected to the ground through the leg, to the sky through the crown. And then we've got this hip slide. So it's literally a single leg squat. So you're really focusing on that leg. You're sliding this leg back. The reason we keep the leg on the ground to slide back is so that we're not rotating the hips. So we're keeping these hips square. So you really load into that support leg. You can really push through the heel to step forwards. You can use that rotation again through the spine and come back up. So there's 3 balance exercises. How are we doing time-wise? Yes, we're good on time. So now we're going to focus on breathing. Now, breathing, I believe, is really overlooked in the fitness industry. We're not really focusing on how to breathe efficiently. And if I say to you now, take a deep breath. So I'd like everyone just to take a deep breath. And I can most probably guarantee that when I said take a deep breath, 90% of you went and actually took in a greater volume of air. So you increase the volume by thinking, I need to take a deep breath. And this is where often mistakes are made, because deep doesn't necessarily mean big. And the thing, if you only take one thing away from this session, remember that you can overeat. So everybody knows we've fed it all the time. You're eating too much, blah, blah, blah. We know we can overeat. You can drink too much. You can drink too much water, so you can overhydrate. But you can also breathe too much air. So actually, when we are running, if we think I'm running out of oxygen, we start to breathe, let's get more and more air into the body. But actually that's just doing completely the opposite to what you are wanting to achieve. Because yes, you're getting more air into the body, but actually just because you're getting more air into the body doesn't mean to say you're getting more oxygen from the air to the blood and into the tissues. So without getting too technical, we often focus on the biomechanics, which is great. We want to focus on the biomechanics of breathing, and this is often taught in exercise, but we're not looking at the biochemistry. And if we get the biochemistry wrong, actually what's going on with oxygen and CO2, then we can actually reduce the oxygen delivery to the tissues. So you can breathe more air and at the same time reduce the oxygen saturation or reduce the oxygen delivery to the tissues. I don't want to get really complicated in a half-hour quick session, but just to really bear that in mind is that you can breathe too much air. So the first breathing exercise I want to give you is just to really focus on the biomechanics. So what I'd like you to do is just pop your hands on the ribs. So you've got your hands on your lower ribs, you've got your thumbs here in the back of the ribs. Again, just watch that you're not thrusting the ribs forwards. So first of all, I just want to really work on the idea of breathing deep into the body and big. So I'll allow you to take a big breath. So I'll talk you through it first, and then we'll do a couple of rounds of this. So I'm going to ask you to breathe in deep into the body and big for a count of 4. We're then going to hold for a count of 7, and then we're going to exhale for a count of 8. So let's do that together. So get yourself set, hands on the ribs, just let the breath settle. And then we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you can breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll go again. So imagine the rib cage expanding as you breathe in, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold at the top, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then it's almost like a relaxed, let the breath out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time, breathing into the back of the body. So really breathe into the back of the ribs. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is a great practice just to wake up the diaphragm, just to wake up the idea of the ribs expanding and contracting as you breathe. What you will notice is we put a breath hold at the top of the breath. And the reason we did that was to balance out the biochemistry, because if we'd have just done loads of big breaths, you'd just start to feel lightheaded, dizzy, and that's because you were breathing too much, you were breathing too hard. And if you breathe too hard and too much, we go into hyperventilation. So you just imagine someone having a panic attack, which is a severe case of hyperventilation. They get lightheaded, they get a bit disorientated because we stop efficient delivery of oxygen to the body. So one more practice, we've got 3 minutes to practice this last exercise, and this is all about reducing the volume of air that you are breathing. And this is key because this is the foundation to how you will then breathe efficiently when you start to move and when you start to exercise. So unlike a lot of breathing practices that are taught just when you're exercising or just when you're doing yoga, the oxygen advantage, the technique I teach, really focuses on functional breathing in everyday life. And again, the key to this is you're breathing through the nose. So all of the time, in and out through the nose. And also you're breathing just the right volume of air that your body needs for what you're doing at that moment in time. If you're breathing too much air, you reduce the efficiency of delivering of oxygen. So you can keep standing, and all I'm going to do is ask you just to keep the lips lightly together and rest the tongue just gently on the roof of the mouth. And just breathe normally. So you're not changing anything. This is just checking in, how am I breathing? A really good place to notice your breath is in the nasal cavity, because it's a very obvious physical sensation of the slightly cooler air coming in through the nose and slightly warmer air leaving. So just tune in with your breath. Just feel that slightly cooler air coming in through the nose and slightly warmer leaving. And now we're just going to add some guidance to the breath. So all I'm going to ask you to do is, after a normal breath in and a normal breath out, I'm going to ask you to pause the breath and count to 5 seconds. So in your own time, normal breath in, normal breath out, and just have a little rest. Just feel that space. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then allow the breath in again. And let's just do 2 more of those. So let the breath settle in between. A normal breath in, a normal breath out, and just pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then do 1 more. So normal breath in, easy breathing, easy soft rhythmical breathing. Normal breath out, pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just let the breath settle. So that breathing practice is all about noticing how little air you actually need for what you're doing at that moment in time. And when you're doing that in a resting posture or a standing posture, you don't need big breaths. So if you take a deep breath but misinterpret the word deep with big, you're going to end up over breathing. So that's the key thing I want you to take away from today's session, is don't over breathe. So if you're getting out of breath when you're running, you need to back off, you need to slow down. So when you're running aerobically, and the majority of your training should be aerobic, your long slow distance run is aerobic, you should be able to comfortably breathe in and out through the nose. If you're gasping for air, if you're gasping for breath, if your breath is out of control, you've gone more anaerobic. So you're overstressing the body. And this is key, because that's what leads to injury, can lead to injury, and it can lead to overtraining. I've gone over by 1 minute. There's a lot of information there for you. We're going to put this on Instagram, on the IGTV. I believe it's going to be on YouTube as well, and Facebook. I do free breathwork classes on a Tuesday morning on my own Instagram, which is @GreyCause. I'm really enjoyed this. I really want to thank the team at Fit&Well for allowing me to share this with you. And of course, if you've got any questions, please do not hesitate to come back to me. I really thank you for your time and your attention. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I will see you all soon. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.